Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their but they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Welcome back to your Valley Sports Plug. It's the 2026 NFL Draft Power Hour. Tonight, it's Tuesday, April 21st, 2026, live right here on YouTube. I'm your host, Chris Patrick. Thank you all for joining us live or watching back on the playback. Joining me tonight to break down everything NFL Draft, locally and abroad, are my co-hosts, Mr. Michael Benjamin and Niko. It's Neeks. What's going on, fellas?
Gentlemen, there's a lot going on in the sports world, specifically for Arizona sports. So it's crazy that we're already talking about Arizona Cardinals football, but give it to me. Give me the juice. I need it. Crazy thing to think about, Chris. It's been 945 days since we were in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the 2026 NFL draft will be taking place. So I'm sure we're going to be reminiscing about some of those fun times on Thursday in just a couple of days, but I'm ready to get into it. Niko, how you doing, man?
Gentlemen, you guys have got me to crawl out of my hole to talk about the team I fucking boycotted. Yeah, we're here talking Cardinal football. So excited. No, honestly, like you guys know how it is. I'm going to be all doom and gloom until the season starts, and then we'll be 0-0, and my expectations will be anything can happen. Am I excited about this draft? No. Am I excited about the draft class? If we made right decisions, yes. But, here we are, boys. We're here. It's a great time to be an Arizona sports fan. Like we always talk about, beginning of seasons, it's optimism, and optimism. So right now I'm going to be optimistic. The slate is clean. It'll last for maybe 20 minutes, but we're going to get through it. Let's do this.
Man, I don't know if you've seen Ted Lasso, but there's a saying from that show where he says it's the hope that kills you. And I feel like that's kind of been how I'm trying to like prevent myself from being guys, to be honest with you, I've just been like kind of pissed off all day. Like I know one of the last times we had you on, Niko, I don't remember exactly what we were talking about. It might have been after the Cardinal season, but we got Doomer Niko on that stream. And now I feel like we're going to get Doomer Chris on this one. I'll try and reel it in. I'll try and contain myself. Maybe you guys can talk me off the ledge, but we have we just did our Heat Check podcast over the weekend, which is coming out on Thursday morning. And I asked Mike a question during that podcast, was like, what do you say to Cardinals fans who think that no matter what happens on Thursday, the Cardinals are going to make the wrong decision? Something along those lines. And I can't help but feel that way, because now we're thrust into the national spotlight with this number 3 pick and all the stories that are coming out around that. But we're going to get into that a little bit later. We're going to start off at the top, big picture, some big stories from the NFL more broad, not the NFL more broadly, but the kind of the national perspective, some of the top big names and storylines for the draft. Then we'll get into the Cardinals, what they should do with that first round. And we're going to give you all the VSP Big 3, the 3 players that we think the Arizona Cardinals should target in the first round of this draft, whether that's at 3, 12, 20, or anywhere else within the first round that they may find themselves. But before we get into all that, I do want to thank you all one last time for joining us tonight, whether you're live or listening on the playback. We go live every Tuesday around 7 p.m. right here on YouTube. So make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel. You hit that notification bell and you can get a notification directly to your phone every time we're going live. You can also follow us at AZ_VSP on Instagram, X, TikTok, so much more. All of our links will be down in the description below. If you want to follow Mr. Benjamin, his links will be in there. If you want to follow It's Neeks, his links will be in there. And if for whatever reason you want to follow me, you got my links in there too. But gentlemen, we got an hour. Now we have about 55 minutes. So let's not waste any more time. We are on the clock breaking down the NFL draft. So big names and storylines. Guys, honestly, I felt like the 2025 draft had a lot of sexy headlines and storylines. You had Travis Hunter, you had not Deion Sanders, Shador Sanders, but kind of Deion Sanders too, right? And so many other players and things going on. And this draft has admittedly not really stocked very well with talent. I think a lot of teams and fans are particularly looking forward to next year's draft for the promise of the quarterbacks in that draft. However, we did kind of feel that way last season. So it's a crapshoot. There's still a whole college football season and NFL season to be played. But we're here to talk about the 2026 NFL draft. And I'll be coming up on Thursday. And it's interesting. It feels like there's no mystery what's going to happen with the number 1 pick in the draft. So we got to talk about that right off the rip. And that is the young quarterback out of Indiana, Fernando Mendoza. And guys, he has already come out and said that he will not be in Pittsburgh attending the draft. He won't be at the casino. He won't be riding the riverboat. He will be at home with his family watching the pick be made. I don't know if it's true. Maybe you guys can keep me honest here, but I feel like I saw a story that said that instead, like, how they have their pre-draft workouts, they were using that to basically start to get Fernando Mendoza up to speed on the playbook and get him assimilated within the Raiders organization. And I mean, whatever you can do legally, I don't necessarily knock it. And I don't think it's any mystery that they probably sat him down and was like, hey, Fernando, we're taking you number 1 overall to pair him up with Ashton Genty. So guys, right off the rip, what do you think about Fernando Mendoza potentially, probably, most likely going to the Raiders?
Well, I'll jump in here first because it is funny how Fernando Mendoza has basically cemented himself as the general consensus 1,000% number 1 overall pick in this year's draft. And if you can look at, my goodness, maybe the last 2 draft classes, I don't think he would have been even the 4th quarterback off the board. So it truly is, it speaks to the level of players within this league. Within this draft, there's going to be a lot of difference makers still. There's going to be guys who are contributors. You know how that goes every single year. There's going to be those diamonds in the rough that we didn't think about. But man, with Fernando Mendoza's outcoming this year, everything he did for Indiana, bringing them their first ever national championship, and you just look at his numbers that jump up from 2024 to 2025, he went from 16 touchdowns to 41, went from 2 rushing touchdowns to 7, had a 182.9 rating. He just was an absolute stud. 72% completion percentage, only 6 interceptions. And in that national championship game, every time down the stretch, he made the play that needed to be made. You can think about earlier games in the year as well. I think back specifically to the one against Penn State. If he doesn't make that throw in the back of the end zone, we're not talking about Indiana as the national champion this year. So I was listening to ESPN radio a few weeks back on the night of his combine or his pro day that he had at Indiana. And a lot of people had that consensus of this wasn't even necessary. But Fernando is the type of guy, and I think he has showed the type of leader that he is to get out there and propel his other teammates, his other draft possible picks that are coming out from Indiana as well. He went out there to showcase them more than he was to doing and showcasing himself. So I'm interested to hear what you said, Chris, about it being kind of just like a start to get him in the ropes with what's going on in Las Vegas, but I wouldn't be surprised. And man, it just is crazy how this is almost like a rags to riches story. Nobody knew who Fernando Mendoza was 18 months ago, and here we are.
Yeah, I think this is first of all, any quarterback comes off the field and goes, "Let's friggin' go." Not number 1 overall pick material in my book. Just saying, you got to put a little oomph on it, a little bit of stank if you're going to be my guy behind center. It's weird. It is odd that, like Mike said it, I don't think he's 4th, 5th overall quarterback taken in years previous. This draft class is odd because I think it's going to be one of those ones that we look back on in a couple of years and we go, holy shit, how did that dude fall to 6th overall, like 6th round? And there's going to be Pro Bowlers that were 6th and 7th rounders, but like these guys up top, like Mendoza, are going to, hopefully not for his sake, but I have a feeling that Mendoza is going to spurt out on the NFL level. feel like he was a really good quarterback in Cignetti's system. And I feel like Kurt runs a really tight ship. You know what's not a tight ship? The Las Vegas Raiders. They're a loose butthole. They are not. It's not that you want to talk about. You're going to send a young quarterback, a young impressionable boy who doesn't say the F word, who says friggin'. We're going to send him to the mouth of Las Vegas with the reins of a franchise in his hands. This little boy is going to come out. I mean, just jaded. Like, I'm talking black leather jacket. Like, we're going to have piercings. He's going to have like blonde dyed hair. He's doing the draft night with his family because he's right now he's a good little boy. He hasn't gotten the Vegas in him yet, but they're going to let the Vegas loose in him. I mean, look what the Raiders did with Jamarcus Russell, and that was in Oakland. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Poor Fernando Mendoza is. We're gonna have a 30 for 30 on the downfall of Fernando Mendoza, and his unlikely addiction to kratom or whatever happens in Vegas. I don't know. I'm not putting anything on the guy, but like I don't see this story ending well for either side. Hopefully I'm wrong, but like this is an odd draft, guys. This is really weird where you look at the top of the heap and you go, it's a 3rd round pick, going number 1. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see the moves that are made.
I feel like that is like the biggest thing. We talk about how explosive and like how big this quarterback class was supposed to be this time last year. Now fast forward, so many guys decided to stay back in college, which now makes 2027 the big potential quarterback draft class. I'll double down on, like, we really don't know what's going to happen. A bad year in college, an injury, maybe there are a couple of those guys that stay again for another year and don't come out to the 2028 draft. But either way, I don't think it's going to be nearly as thin as this draft class, because if you look at the other names on the list, and we'll talk about a couple of these, I'm sure, but it's a steep fall off after Fernando Mendoza, and that's not saying much. You got Ty Simpson, Garrett Nussmeier, Cole Payton from North Dakota State, Drew Aller, Carson Beck. I don't know, guys. None of those names are really moving the needle for me too much, to be honest with you. But you make a good point, Niko, about him going into Las Vegas and what that could do to a young man. And then you talk about how much money a first-round pick in the 2026 NFL draft is going to make. These numbers are getting crazy, boys. You're looking at the potential for them to sign a 4-year contract totaling approximately $54.6 million. So you put a 22-year-old man, give him a $55 million contract, and you drop him into Las Vegas. So I don't know. I think this kid's got a good, solid foundation. He's got a good, group of people behind him. But how many of those people are going to be with him going to Las Vegas in his corner, and how will he stay the course? I don't know. But aside from any off the field temptations, you talk about the on the field stuff. He did have a decent year. Like you said, he could be a system guy with Cignetti, but 3,500 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, only 6 picks. I don't know, man. They do have was it Clint Kubiak who took the Raiders job? So they have a new head coach. They have a top running back from last year's draft in Ashton Genty, a previous Heisman candidate. Now you add Fernando Mendoza. It could be a team on the rise, but again, a young team and a lot of unknowns there. So we'll see, man. I just consensus number 1 overall pick. If this was next year, I don't know if he would even be a first round pick, but hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, you know. Moving on, we got a little bit of some local ties with this next story, and someone I think a lot of people would like to see in a Cardinals jersey and staying in Arizona, although I think that's highly unlikely given the fact that this is not a need for the Cardinals at this time and given their draft position. But that's the young wide receiver out of Arizona State University. You know him, you love him, is Jordyn Tyson. And man, this guy, we saw what he could do mostly in 2024, but a little bit last year in 2025. He did have, I think, some injury trouble last year that kept him off the field for a little while, but he still managed to put up some numbers. He had 61 receptions, 700 yards receiving, and 8 touchdowns. So when you average 10 yards a catch, we know he's has the ability to catch it downfield, and he really wowed a lot of teams. I think it was at his pro day or one of his workouts, something like that. There's a lot of teams showing interest, and he is shot up draft boards. So to be out a good part of the season, banged up, injured, I don't think he went to the combine, or if he did, he didn't participate in all the activities, and to still be considered, in most mocks, a top 20 draft pick, a for sure first round draft pick. I think that's pretty impressive. But Mike, I'll kick this over to you. What do you think of Jordyn Tyson going in the first round?
I love it, man. You know I love when Arizona represents, even though the young man is from Allen, Texas. He's been part of this great ASU story of the comeback over the past couple of years. Yeah, the NFL Next Gen Stats score breakdown had him at an 86, which for the 2026 Combine was the first wide receiver ranked overall. Man, I mean, he started at Colorado, then redshirted, and then in 2 seasons, he just set the Valley and specifically Tempe on fire. He made third-team AP All-American both years, first team All Big 12 Conference both seasons. In 2024, he was the Big 12 Offensive Newcomer of the Year. But it's been a story of injuries, like you touched on, Chris. I mean, infamously, he missed that Big 12 championship game in the CFP quarterfinal because he broke his collarbone. Last year, he missed 4 games because of separate hamstring injuries. But he's a freak athlete. He's a stud. It's going to come down to almost like where VSP Tallman was so worried about the injury history of Michael Wilson. Do we think that Jordyn Tyson would be able to kind of broach those narratives? And I think that he should definitely be able to, because I think he's going to find himself going to a better team than not. You're probably looking in the teens somewhere. I know right now there has been rumors of him going 12 to Dallas. People are not liking that as well, but specifically just because of the injury history. But we know, man, he is a difference maker when he's on the field. He was Sam Levitt's security blanket, the same way that Trey McBride was for Kyler Murray. So I think whoever is going to get their hands on Jordyn Tyson is going to get an absolute steal, and I can't wait to see where he goes next. I don't know. As long as it's not the Cowboys, I don't know. I would be tempted to invest in a Jordyn Tyson jersey, as long as it's not an NFC West team or the Cowboys, like I said.
Yeah, I think the whole Jordyn Tyson of it all presents a very interesting situation. I've found a site, Fantasy Pros, where I was doing some research. They take a bunch of mock drafts and put them together, and then give you percentages based on those mock drafts. At the 5th overall pick, they have Caleb Downs with a 28% chance to go to the Giants. Who do they have with a 28% chance to go to the Giants as well? Jordyn Tyson with the 5th overall pick. Now, that offense, if he went to the Giants, that could be very scary with Neighbors and Tyson on both sides. However, dude, I know this sounds crazy because I know it's not a fucking need for us, but look, we're not going to get anything we need anyways, so we might as well fucking ball out and make our fan base happy. I know it's a crazy fucking concept, but like, sell a jersey or two for Christ's sakes, because you got people throwing them in fires right now. So, I mean, do us a favor, trade back, get a late first round pick, go take the hometown kid. You ain't got nobody to throw it to him anyways. Fucking Jacoby Brissett took the team 1-11 and wants a raise. Like, come on, guys. What? We're not getting it. We're not going to get what we want. We're going to get. I'm not trying to jump the shark on this, but like, man, if he's there and we have the opportunity to take him and we've traded our picks back, you're a fucking idiot if you don't take him. Like, and people have eaten their words on Jordyn Tyson. Deion Sanders came out this week and said he has the Deion Sanders stamp of approval. Well, guess when he didn't? When he was playing on your team in Colorado and you told him to kick rocks and he came to ASU and balled the fuck out. I'm so over it. Draft him. Put him in Cardinals red. Honestly, you know what? Actually, don't draft him. Send him anywhere else but Arizona so he has an illustrious career. Send him anywhere else. But, like, fuck me, man. Like, let me have a reason to go to the goddamn stadium. Sorry, that's doom, Niko.
No, I mean, Man, I don't hate it. And like it is kind of sad though, like when we're at that point as Cardinals fans where it's like just give us anything to be excited about because we have had absolutely nothing. Nothing. But I think, Niko, that is a perfect segue into our next topic. And I'm happy for Jordan Tyson, and I hope he goes somewhere that's not the Jets, because I have seen a mock draft that puts him on the Jets, and I don't wish the New York Jets on anybody, I quite frankly. But we'll see what happens on Thursday. I am anxious. I'm not excited. The Arizona Cardinals, man, they find themselves once again at the top of the draft. They're picking 3. So if they stick and pick, they could have just about anybody that they like. And the big news breaking today, and the reason for a lot of my frustration and anxiety, is all of this clamoring about Jeremiyah Love. It's been kind of on the back burner for a few weeks. There have been some rumblings, and it's kind of started to bubble up. And then over the weekend, it all kind of boiled over. There was some insiders or just people, journalists in general, that came out and said that there's a loud voice in the Cardinals organization that wants to draft Jeremiyah Love. And basically, wink, wink, nod, nod, it's Michael Bidwill. Oh, shocker. The owner's inserting himself in the draft process. But I really don't care about that because a lot of fans are excited about Jeremiyah Love. I think it could be 50-50 even. So I'm curious to know what you guys think about it. But I'll share my thoughts first. I honestly do believe, and we talked about it a bit on Saturday. Again, the podcast is going to come out Thursday. But if VSP Tallman was here, he would agree with me. You got to draft best available. This is not a very high skilled. I don't know what the word is. This is not a very high quality draft. This is not one of the best drafts we've seen in the last decade. But you have a potential generational talent here in Jeremiyah Love. And if you're drafting at 3, yeah, maybe running back is not even like in the top 10 of needs for the Cardinals. But the logic is, and a lot of people have floated the idea of, you get Jeremiyah Love and maybe you trade up or you stick with the 34th pick in the second round or whatever. And you get Ty Simpson there, or you trade up and get him. And now you have fans that can be excited about 2 young players growing together, and you can worry about an offensive line down the road, either next year's draft, next year's offseason, 3rd round, 4th round. Like, people in the national media, I feel like, and this is where I might start to go on a rant, because a lot of the national media people are like, oh, the Cardinals would be absolutely stupid if they did this. This would be the worst idea. And it's like, they just don't want us to have Jeremiyah Love. I swear to God, that's what it is. They just don't want to see him on the Cardinals. If it was their team, they'd be like, oh yeah, you got to take him. He's the best running back we've ever seen. And people want to bring up, again, the money. If the pick number 3 is going to get $50 million basically, and that would make him like a top 10 paid running back right out the gate. It's like, oh, you can't put him behind a line and he's not going to be able to do anything. Look what happened to Ashton Genty last season. Well, yeah, look what happened. Now he's going to be playing with Fernando Mendoza, and they got a nice young head coach, and they're going to be building that team over the next 2-3 years. Just because you draft Jeremiyah Love doesn't mean he has to come out the gate and rush for 200 yards. Like, shut the fuck up, Mike. I need to mute my mic, so I'm going to let someone else take it.
Yeah, guys, what are the Cardinals going to do? Well, that's the question we've been asking since we've been able to watch drafts. What are the Cardinals going to do? What's going to happen here? There was a small safety segment of our lives. It was when we had a 1st overall pick and we took a young man out of Pittsburgh, and or whatever. Whenever we took Larry, that was the safest pick we ever had, guys. Every pick from then on has just been this fucking dice roll. Look, there's going to be a couple of things that have to happen. Mendoza is going to go 1. That's pretty much a given. If Arvell Reese does not go number 2, I truly think that might be your best player available. Now, hear me out on this. I don't think that's the pick we make. I am firmly in the camp of trade out. But if you're going to trade out, I need you to trade out and make it worth it for me. So, trade the pick and somebody else, so we can get a little bit of a haul. Maybe trade a couple of picks. Maybe find a disgruntled fucking superstar and a team that has a high. But I'm looking at names like Caleb Downs. Would love to see Caleb Downs in the Cardinals uniform. Would love to see Jordan Tyson in a uniform, in a Cardinals uniform. Ruben Bain Jr. Wouldn't mind seeing Ruben Bain Jr. in a Cardinals uniform. There are a decent amount of names at the position that are not quarterback. And unfortunately, guys, like, do we need help on the offensive line? But yes. But how many fucking times are we going to go to that door, knock on it, and nobody's going to be home? We got to find something else out to do than the draft for our offensive line. Like I said, at this point, like, I truly believe we're not going to get what we want. What we want and what we need is a fucking quarterback. We're not going to get a quarterback. We'll get Ty Simpson, and we'll all fucking punch ourselves in the nose, but we're not going to get a quarterback. We're going to get Josh Rosen from the year before we drafted Kyler. That's what Ty Simpson is, gentlemen. That's what Ty Simpson is. It's fucking Josh Rosen all the fuck over again. So you know what? If Jeremiyah Love is there at three, draft him. I don't give a shit. As long as his name isn't Ty Simpson, draft him. Like, but my fear is that we're not going to do that. We're going to take the kid from Tennessee. Let's think about how many good prospects Tennessee has put out in the NFL in the past fucking, I don't know, Arian Foster, was that the last, like, really decent Tennessee prospect that came out in the NFL? Like, I can't, off the top of my head, think of one, which is a problem, because I can think of multiple from other schools. So that's an issue. Not that player is, held by the school they play for, but, like, look, Ohio State, Michigan, fucking these teams have pedigrees of putting good NFL players out. You know who doesn't have that? Tennessee in the past 10 years. So find me someone else. I'm a disgruntled Cardinals fan. I need a kid. Alvin Kamara. Thank you, Chris. And even Alvin Kamara was like fucking, I think they didn't get him in the first round. I don't think Alvin Kamara was a first round pick, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to hop off this soapbox and let Mike get on here. But, like, ultimately, at the end of the day, we're trying not to be super doomed, but the draft doesn't fucking matter this year, guys. The draft doesn't fucking matter. We could draft a punter with the first pick and a punter with the last pick. The team would look the fucking same. It'd perform the fucking same. It wouldn't fucking matter. We're going to go out there and we're going to hodgepodge together fucking 3 wins. We're not going to win a fucking game in the fucking division. And this team would look the same as if we traded all of the fucking starters for all of the draft picks in the world. It wouldn't fucking matter. So who we pick, I don't know. Pick fucking whoever. I don't give a fucking shit. Pick me. I'll come play. It does not matter. Like, Jeremiyah Love seems like a great player. For his sake, I hope he doesn't come here. Why? Because we have a history of ruining players. So, like, if you're good, I don't want you here. Send me all the U of A Wildcats. They can come play for the Cardinals. I don't care if they stink. I hate U of A. I just don't. I don't have an answer, and it's not like I would love to come out and have, and Mike gave me the agenda today, and I studied, gentlemen, and I went to work, and I did some research, and I came out of it going, it doesn't fucking matter. So that's where I sit. Unfortunately, the optimism has ran out in the 28th minute of the episode, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who we draft.
Oh, well, okay. So first and foremost, I got to start. How dare you guys forget one of the better draft picks that came out of Tennessee and probably the smartest player to ever play in the NFL, Mr. Astronaut, Joshua Dobbs, former Arizona Cardinal. Come on, guys. How are you forgetting that one? But, I mean, Niko, I love it. I absolutely love it. In regard to, as a fan base, I think you can almost go into 2026 into the season stating it doesn't matter, because the overall consensus, I think, and what we see and where this team needs to go is there's not much expectations. This team is probably going to be a bottom dweller. But you know why it does matter, and this draft matters very, very much. It matters to Monti Ossenfort if he wants to continue to be the GM for this team. And you know what gets you good graces with the fan base, gets asses in seats, gets merchandise sales going, even when your team sucks? Drafting generational talent players like Jeremiyah Love. Guys, if he's not in our VSP 3, then I'm going to be a little bit concerned about what we're talking about here, about the future of this Arizona Cardinals team. But he has a great size, 6 foot, 212. He was 4th in FBS at 6.9 yards per carry this year. he is the quintessential guy who can do it both ways. 18 touchdowns on the ground, 27 catches, 3 touchdowns through the air. I think there is untapped potential with what he can be as a passing back as well. But he just wants to be a workhorse. So there's a lot of questions that go with it. I get it. If you're looking at from the offensive line standpoint, well, who's going to block for him? Are you comfortable with Elijah Wilkinson starting at that right tackle if you're not going to go offensive lineman? We already have a full room. You got Tyler Algier, who we just signed to a 2-year contract, James Conner, Bam Knight coming back, the always injured guy, Trey Benson, and then the money aspect, like Chris talked about, he would technically be the 7th overall paid running back in the NFL, making $12.6 million per year. But at the same time, gentlemen, the Cardinals aren't paying anybody. They had so much extra cap space because they fucked around in free agency. They were able to just throw $9 million at Gardner Minshew when nobody the hell wanted him, right? They were able to give like $14-15 million to Kendrick Bourne, who is like a fringe third receiver on any NFL roster. So don't worry about that. Worry about getting good juice and getting a product that you want to invest your time in moving forward, at least for the next couple of years. And I think Jeremiyah Love does that. But Chris, I'll throw it over to you. Do you think Ty Simpson could do that too?
Move the needle?
Get the juices flowing.
Get the juices flowing.
We haven't had a rookie quarterback, an unknown product in this building since 2019. What do you think? What are your feelings? Because we know that the narrative right now is just overall, the betting sites are putting negative money on it that Ty Simpson is going to be an Arizona Cardinal. This is going to happen. How do you feel about that?
I feel like if he was on another team, he'd do better than if he's on the. I don't know. The doomer nature is rubbing off on me because you want him to be, a Brock Purdy. Not that he's the 7th round Mr. Irrelevant or anything, but he could be a Josh Rosen. This quarterback class is just such an unknown. And you talk about his inexperience too. He was like a 4 years in college guy that played 1 season, and in that 1 season, the numbers are pretty. Aside from the touchdowns, we're pretty similar to Fernando Mendoza with the 3,500 passing yards, only 5 interceptions. He's pretty good in the pocket, but it sounds like he maybe just needs to get more reps. He needs to get more experience. And at the end of the day, any guy, no matter what level of success they have in college, there's no guarantee that they're going to be able to come in and play the NFL game. I wish he was a little taller at 6'1", not the tallest guy, but he's not Kyler Murray either. He's not 5'9" or whatever. Like he can probably to some extent see over his offensive line. I don't know a whole lot about Ty Simpson, to be honest with you, but I think, like I said, if you get Jeremiyah Love at the 3, and then if you move up a little bit, or you stick at the 34th pick and you get Ty Simpson there, that could get a lot of Cardinals fans excited. You got a young quarterback and a young running back learning together, growing, building a new system with a new young head coach, and you still got Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. You got pieces, you got weapons, and build around them from there. And I think if the Arizona Cardinals draft Ty Simpson on Thursday, or if they draft him on Friday, you're seeing Jacoby Brissett traded by Monday. I think that the Cardinals are so non-committal, and I think that could probably tie into it, Mike, is because the Cardinals are already signaling so heavy at being interested in Ty Simpson, wanting Ty Simpson, potentially even taking him, earlier in than they would if they stuck with, because they're not going to draft him at 3, right? We know if they draft him at 3, that would be a very Cardinals thing to do, is just make the absolute dumbest decision of all time. But even the Cardinals aren't that dumb. Like, let's be honest. And you pointed it out very well, Mike. This is Monti Ossenfort's last chance, pretty much, because if you look at his draft record, a lot of duds, not very many studs. There's not, aside from you can't really fuck up the Marvin Harrison Jr. pick, but even he hasn't really blown people out of the water. Walter Nolan showed a flash, but was hardly available, not even out there doing anything. Same with Will Johnson. People like that, but I don't know, man. Like, he needs to have a good draft. And I've always said, after the the 2023 draft, like he was scared to make draft picks. He loves to trade down, and he doesn't want the pressure of having that third pick, because it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. You're not going to be able to please everyone. And I think Monty's just trying to please everybody. And I think that goes into, maybe we can roll this into the next portion of this Cardinals conversation, is there's an ongoing debate happening today through all this news of the quality of the players you're drafting versus the quantity of the players you're drafting. And it seems like Monti Ossenfort has kind of always aired on the side of quantity, because he thinks, if I throw all this shit at the wall, something's going to stick. If I have 15 draft picks, maybe one of them will work out. Instead of going and getting the best available guy, you're drafting for fit. You're picking guys that may be diamonds in the rough. You're trading down because you're scared to make those high picks where you could miss. And yeah, you could. But at the end of the day, like, if there is like a no nonsense talent, you got to pick it. So with that being said, guys, there's a big growing, conversation about them trading down from that number 3 pick. A lot of teams are going to be interested in a guy like Jeremiyah Love and some of these other names at the top of the board. Sonny Styles is rising up draft boards quickly. Reuben Bain Jr., even Caleb Downs, people are really excited about. I honestly think Caleb Downs could be an interesting successor to Budda Baker. If you really, value a guy in the secondary like that, Caleb Downs is kind of a fucking beast. Now, I don't think he's really on the Cardinals' radar. I haven't heard him linked to the Cardinals in any way, shape, or form. But because it's like, I don't know, man. I'm not sitting here saying I'm the smartest, but I think these NFL draft rooms, the war rooms, the GMs, they kind of fall into this trap of thinking that they're smarter than everybody. And yeah, they do have a lot more information, but sometimes it's like paralysis by overanalysis. You think about it so much, you have so much information that you just overthink it. And then you draft freaking, I don't know, what's a draft? You draft Zaven Collins. You draft Robert Kimdichie. You draft Jonathan Cooper, because you think you're so much smarter than everyone else. And then you just do the dumbest possible thing. So with that being said, with the trade potential, the biggest one I heard today is a package from the Cowboys, because they do have 2 first-round picks, the 12th and the 20th. So you get that, maybe a third and a fourth. So you get 2 first-round picks and a later round pick potentially for the number 3 pick. But throw any of the extra bonus kickers in there. So ignore, like, it's not necessarily straight up, but I don't know who wants to take this first, so I'll just toss it out there. Niko, I'll toss it to you. Do you think that you would be okay with taking 12 and 20, keeping 34? So you have 12, 20, and 34 for the 3rd round pick. Because a lot of people, with the 34th pick, you could get a 1st round quality talent player potentially. So it's kind of like having 3 1st round picks. What does that tickle your fancy at all?
Yeah, I mean, this is what I want to do. I want to trade the pick. Like, if we're going to take Jeremiyah Love, that's the pick I'm okay with in that 3 spot. If that does not happen, then I'm all for this, especially a team like Dallas. 12 is a nice pick, especially in this draft, because it puts you in a position to go ahead and draft like I mean, I don't think that Caleb Downs is going to fall that far to 12, but we've seen crazier things happen on draft night. It gives you a position to draft Caleb Downs at 12. If we came out of this with Caleb Downs and Jordyn Tyson as our 2 first-round draft picks, Downs at 12, Tyson at 20, I'd be okay with it. If we came out with, I mean, I don't have enough faith in a lot of the offensive linemen that I've seen. I don't think Francis Mauigoa is going to be available in any situation that we're drafting in outside of us having the 3rd pick. And I think the third pick is a little bit high to be taking him. So I don't know. I want the trades. That's what I'm trying to say. Give me as many picks as we can. I know that that's been our MO because that's Ossenfort's bag, but like, this is the one draft I'd say fucking trade back. Like, all the other ones I'd say stay where we are or trade up. This is the one draft where I'm like, I actually think we do need to trade back. I think because you're not going to justify any pick outside of, at least to me, outside of Jeremiyah Love at 3. You're not going to, it's going to be a hard justification. So you might as well push back. And kind of goes on to what I said earlier, like, you should be trying to put cheeks in seats at this point. You know that the football team isn't going to be good. So Mike made mention, what better way than drafting a generational talent? I think Caleb Downs might be a generational talent. And I think we just lost Jalen Thompson. So, like, I don't know, maybe a little reassurance in the secondary isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, but I think the one thing with drafting defensive players as well is I feel like the amount of capital that has been invested in that side of the football and then bringing back the defensive coordinator who honestly probably should have been fired, but the Arizona Cardinals had no options. You're bringing in a head coach who's going to be your offensive coordinator. I want to give him all the power, all of the weapons as much as possible to start tailoring this offense to what his long-term vision is. And if Jeremiyah Love is that guy, you stick and you pick. But I'm so torn. I mean, I'm right there with you, Niko. Should the Cardinals even be taking a running back at 3rd overall? Like, should you ever be really thinking about that? This team has so many holes. You need to start addressing them and basically like throwing darts at the dartboard and seeing who works. But then again, a lot of people will say, well, sometimes, get that guy who's going to be a difference maker in years to come and you can continue to build out. But it's like, if you're trading that draft pick, you know what's coming. You're getting capital so you can get Ty Simpson. Do you want Ty Simpson? Like, I don't want Ty Simpson. But like we had said, I think the biggest thing is that Monti Ossenfort has no choice. He cannot go into the 2026 training camp with Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, and oh my God, anybody off the couch in any kind of competition, right? And then them fold to the leverage play that Jacoby Brissett did because they went back on the word after they let leak that he was going to be the starter, but now, oh no, I'm not committing. And it's just like the Cardinals are going to cardinal. They're going to continue to cardinal until Michael Bidwell is no longer the owner, unfortunately. But in the grand scheme of things, you're just hopeful that you can start bringing in newer pieces and that some of these are going to hit because, yeah, Chris, you're right. I mean, Monti right now, his batting average is low. So he needs a lot of wins this draft. That's for sure.
Yeah, and like, don't be surprised if they trade down with the Cowboys and then do even more trading down and maybe trade that 12th for a couple more picks. And then Monti just wants a lot of 2nd and 3rd round picks and future picks. And I don't get the fear of drafting. I do think at some point they're going to draft an offensive lineman of some capacity here, either a guard or some other interior lineman. I don't know, guys. I have a bad feeling about this. I'd be okay with Ty Simpson in the 2nd round, probably no earlier than the 2nd round. I don't want him at 20. Don't want him at 12. There are going to be so many more high quality players. And I think that's my thing is like, I'm okay with getting Ty Simpson because I have no expectations for the Cardinals this season to be like a playoff team. Like, do you guys think no matter what, if we roll out Jacoby Brissett and we win 8 games, are you going to be happy? Like, what's the difference between winning 8 games and winning 3 games again?
Well, I think that's the problem. That's the big problem with this year as well, with not starting the regime over once again with a brand new GM and head coach. I understand why Michael didn't want to do that because he didn't want to go through a head coaching search by himself again. But now you're basically like messing up the opportunities to build and create a true vision of a first-time head coach. This is another thing that you have to remind yourself, a guy who's going to be calling the plays in regard to there's going to be both of those guys on either end of the rope, even though they'll come out and present a unified front. Monti Ossenfort is going to be trying to make plays to make sure that this team is halfway competent and they're not true basement dwellers like they were this year, or else he will not be here. So what does that mean with some of the decisions that happen in the draft? What does that mean with some of the free agent moves that already happened? This was one of the worst free agents periods that I've seen from this team in a number of years. And trust me, gentlemen, we've seen some shitty ones for sure. But is the plan this year truly to be one of the worst, if not the worst team in the NFL? did Michael Bidwell give those assurances to Monti Ossenfort that the plan is to stink, but we need to kind of show that we're trying to figure the things out? That's why there's been so many narratives around Ty Simpson where their true plan is to stink so they have a top 3 pick so they can get one of those quarterbacks next year. Who knows? We're stuck between a rock and a hard place once again. And I think it always is going to come back down to, do you trust this regime and these people in leadership roles to make the right decisions? And they just have not shown us that we can trust them to do it. So I don't know. Niko, what are your thoughts on that, man?
I don't know, guys. I try not to be like doomer over here, but it starts at the top. It starts at the top. And if you want me to be real, this organization may suffer for decades upon decades upon decades because Bidwell has skids and they'll get the team. And we'll all just be sitting here in our 70s being like, remember Larry Fitzgerald? Like, I agree with pretty much everything that has been said on both sides of the board. I don't want Ty Simpson. If we get Ty Simpson, much happier if we get him in the second round. It's a much easier pill to swallow than to say with the 12th overall pick, the Cardinals select Ty Simpson. I'll fucking throw something at my television. I don't know, man. Like, we are, gentlemen, we're on the precipice of being worse than the Browns and the Jets. Like, organizationally. Like, that's where we are. Like, I think that there has been a conversation had from the front office because, you know what? Instead of just putting your money where your mouth is and investing in talent and the right people, it's much easier to go to your GM and say, your job is safe, but let's suck this year. Like, let's be shit. I don't sign a quarterback. And if you do, let it be fucking Gardner Minshew. Like, if you do sign a quarterback, let it be a literal journeyman, a Ryan Fitzpatrick of sorts. I'd be happier with Ryan Fitzpatrick, if I'm being honest with you. But I think at this point that has to be like, I know it's all conspiracies, but like that has to be an honest thought. Is that Bidwell is up there saying like, we have a plan. This is the plan. No, the plan should be hire a fucking president of football operations. The plan should be trust your GM without you trying to Jerry Jones every decision that the franchise makes. The plan should be taking the best available talent when it's on the fucking board. The plan should be not fucking the people that pay your god-awful prices to watch your god-awful football team. That's what the plan should be. But the plan is, our plan as fans is not the plan that Bidwell has. He wants to hop in his fancy jet and go on his vacations, hunt animals on safari, and do whatever the fuck Bidwell does with his thumb so far up his ass that it's scratching his nose hole. It's mind-numbing to me, guys. So, like, yeah, like, ideally, generational talent, Jeremiyah Love, snack him up. Ideally, that's not available, trade your ass out. Get the 12th and the 20. Ideally, take the best the best talent at that position. Ideally, let fucking like Ossenfort do his job. Like, there's a bunch of idealies here that don't exist in a franchise that doesn't allow the women to walk down the same staircase as the male players. You know what I'm saying? Like, it like the reports that I read coming out of the Cardinals organization absolutely reiterate the fact that we're not inept at making like human rights choices, let alone fucking who can run the football. So, like, yeah, that's kind of where I sit on it. I tried not to go doomer, but like, here we are, you know.
It's hard not to go doomer, and it's hard to not look at the history of the last 15 years when you could say the last time the Arizona Cardinals made a home run first round pick was Patrick Peterson in 2011. It's tough. It's tough to be a Cardinals fan. It's not for the faint of heart, and that's why so many people that are even born here choose to be fans of other teams. Mike, I saw another example. We were talking about this over the weekend. Got a guy, I'm not going to out him, a guy that I know. I learned that he was a Green Bay Packers fan. Today he was wearing a LeBron James jersey, a Lakers jersey, and he could give a shit about baseball. But he lives here. Pretty sure he's from here. And that's the state of Arizona sports fans, is that they don't want to be Arizona sports fans. And the Cardinals, more specifically, like, it is really hard to find a Cardinals fan outside of State Farm Stadium. Even on Sunday at State Farm Stadium, it's 50-50 on the best day of the week. And it's just it's so sad. It is so sad. I know we're kind of low on time, but if we don't take Ty Simpson, just real quick, rapid fire, are either of you interested in any of the other quarterbacks in this draft?
Maybe in the 5th or 6th round, late, like
I'll
day
take a
3.
flyer.
That's fine. I'll take Carson Beck in the 6th round. That's whatever. I don't think I'll take Drew Aller just with the 6th thing that Niko was talking about.
Oh, no, that's Nussmeier. That's what I want.
Oh, Garrett Nussmeier. Okay.
I will take Nussmeier. I would take Nussmeier in a late round in hopes that cyst. It's a minorly invasive surgery where he'd be out 2 to 3 weeks. It's the thing that has caused him oblique pain throughout his entire campaign last year at LSU, and the year before that he looked like a fucking stud.
That's true.
He was consensus like first round quarterback in this upcoming draft until the shit year that he had at LSU. So if he can get the cyst fixed, man, I'd be willing to take like a 5th or 6th or 7th round flyer on him.
Yeah. Overall, Chris, you cannot walk away from Saturday and not have a quarterback. It's just not okay to go into training camp with what you have, and then you're going to do a rookie free agent signing, whatever. No, just invest the capital in one of them. Who cares?
I agree. I definitely agree with I almost think it would be better to take a quarterback in the later rounds, because if you consider the needs and if you're looking at more of a long-term future, not being competitive next season, and the quarterback class next year, if we suck a little bit next year, that just increases our chances of getting a higher quality quarterback. So yeah, take a flyer on Nussmeier or Carson Beck. I don't really like Drew Aller or Cole Payton out of North Dakota State. None of those guys tickle my fancy. But guys, to finish this out, we have to do it. Last year we did the VSP 5. Now we're doing the VSP Big 3. We're trimming it down. We got the number 3 pick. So this is not necessarily who we think the Cardinals should target with the 3rd pick, but who we should think they should target in the 1st round specifically. Now, that's where obviously the bulk of the talent is, and especially given the fact that as we record this, they still hold the 3rd pick. Mike, how do you think we should do this? Should we collectively come up with a VSP 3, or should we each pick one that we think they should target?
We'll collectively come up with it, because I think we're going to have some overlap here. So I think what we'll do is, Chris, you can start us off. You give us one of your guys. If it's on one of our lists, if all 3 of us have them, unanimous, they are on our list. If it's 2 out of 3, we'll go through until we have enough and we can find a consensus. So, Mr. Patrick, lead us off here.
All right. Hey, I love it. I finally get to go first. And I think I'll take the no-brainer, the easy one that I think pretty much all be able to agree on. And I've been in this camp now, not a long time, but I'm having a good time. And I love it. Jeremiyah love. They got to just take the generational talent. You want to go best available? He's probably the best available. Now, I know if you go back 5 years, taking a running back in the 1st round was taboo. Nobody wanted to do it. But you look at the talent that's come out recently, and even like high in the draft classes, you're talking like Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson. These guys are coming into their own. So it's not that crazy anymore to take a running back early in the draft. Now, you did mention it's a little scary. People don't want him to be the 7th highest paid running back right out the gate. but you're going to lock him in for 5 years. And those could be the 5 best years of his career. And if you don't if there's no hope for the Cardinals to rebuild in the next 5 years, they should move to some other state and they can go back to St. Louis or Chicago for all I care. So for me, it's Jeremiyah Love. I hope you all agree.
I love it, Chris. I mean, we already talked about it. He averaged 137.7 scrimmage yards per game last year. He is a 3-phase running back. He puts stresses on defenses with his big play speed. I said he has untapped pass catching ability, man, and that workhorse mentality. Even though it's interesting, he only saw 20 or more carries 3 times in his college career, but he has that instant acceleration, which helps him escape rallying defenders. I'll be honest with you here, gentlemen. I don't have him in my top 3 because I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to trade this pick, and he's not going to be available. So I think we all kind of did it in different avenues. If the Cardinals stay at 3, this is the no-brainer pick for me. But I don't believe that they're going to be picking at 3. So he was not on my list. Niko, what are you thinking?
He is on my list. He is on my list.
I think it just makes sense. Please give us your last thoughts on Jeremiyah Love. I know we talked to him about it, but let's get him on this big 3. I think we can say this is a unanimous for us, for sure, to get him on here.
Yeah, I do agree with you, Mike. I do think that we will not be making this pick at the 3rd pick. But the way I looked at it was, you got to look at all situations. So if we did stay in the 3rd pick, in that 3rd pick, who would be the player we drafted? I think it's a no question that it'd be Jeremiyah Love for everything that we've talked about, and then some. But I think that Chris made a great point with these first 5 years may be the best 5 years of his career for a young running back. So if he's there, I think take him.
Hey, I like it. And I think, Tallman loves to say it, dreaming is free. And if we can get a good solid running back like that, I mean, guys, there have been comps of Adrian Peterson, and that's another running back that the Cardinals could have been happy, or could have drafted and would have been happy with, but they were happy with Edgerrin James at the time. And now, however many years later, we did end up eventually getting Adrian Peterson, but it was much later in his career. So if we had him for the first 5 years of his career, who knows what could have happened there. But we can't rewrite history. We can only look forward to the future. So Mike, I guess this will be your pick for who you got on your board with our second of the VSP 3.
So I would be surprised if this gentleman, it might be on one of your guys's, but this is basically, I think, in a situation where if they do stay at 3, but they went for a higher potential in the trenches for a difference maker down the road. And I'm talking about the edge from Texas Tech. I'm talking about David Bailey. I know a lot of people like Arvell Reese. I think David Bailey has a higher upside for Arvell because Arvell is that mixed linebacker, that was he an edge? Wasn't he an edge? David Bailey rushes the passer. He was a first team AP All-American this year, Big 12 Conference Defensive Lineman of the Year. He tied the FBS with the lead with 14.5 sacks, second with 19.5 tackles for losses. He's just extremely hard for linemen to stay in front of. He's explosive and fluid through those slips and bend rushes. And he makes a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage. That's what we were so excited about to see in that first game from Walter Nolan. And we know what Josh Sweat did last year, but there's still so much to be desired on that other side. Bear Browning's not the answer, gentlemen. BJ Ojulari didn't play for 28 months. If you're whenever you're thinking of high leverage picks, I always want to go for those guys that are truly going to be the absolute difference makers or game changers, and edge rushers are that. And we have lacked that for a number of years, going back to, I think, before we got Josh Sweat. The last great pass rusher that we had was Chandler Jones, to be honest with you. So the reason I'm bringing this is because maybe it's a difference. We're not all saying the same type of guy, but I just think that David Bailey is going to have a better career than Arvell Reese. And we know what's happened with Arvell, or we know what's happened with the Arizona Cardinals with those tweener linebackers. aka Zaven Collins, aka Isaiah Simmons, even to a certain extent Deion Buchanan, who was a great player during those good years. I liked him, but he was just too in between to figure out where he was going to be the biggest difference maker overall. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Niko, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I also took a good look at David Bailey. That Texas Tech defense was scary this year. I had him just outside. I had him at 4. I just honestly, like, if I'm being real, didn't have enough homework on him and kind of became way more familiar to his game after watching some stuff earlier today. The dude is a stud. I don't think we're gonna fucking be there. That's where I think I'm coming from on it more than anything. Is that, like, I said it with Jeremiah Love, is I think if we are there, it's love. I don't know. It's such a hard draft to try to predict what the fuck is gonna happen, or even think about, because there's not a lot of smoke indicating a lot of fires. Whereas years past, like, we've had multiple fires to look at. Like, Ty Simpson is the only smoke we've had all draft process, it feels like. So I do like David Bailey. I just have him off my list.
Yeah, it's not unfair for you, Niko. I did a couple of my top picks here with the assumption that we would be drafting at 3, because I think they should. 1, I think they should, and 2, because I think there's a real possibility that around the league, these other GMs look at the Cardinals and all this draft subterfuge and all this misdirection that's coming out, and they call our bluff and they say, "Oh, you want to trade down? Well, we're not going to give you the world for it," because it sounds like the Cardinals are going to want quite a bit. Like I mentioned with the Cowboys, if they do give up 12 and 20, the Cardinals are also going to want a 3rd round pick, and maybe the Cowboys aren't willing to give it to them. So then are you still willing to just trade 12 and 20 straight up for 3? I don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Mike, this might surprise you, but I did also have David Bailey on my list of 3 here. 6'4", 250, big boy. Ran a 4.5 40 at that size, is pretty damn good. He can really push the pocket, and I think we did get a lot of these kind of players and kind of overloaded the position, but I think there's room for him here still, and I think he can learn from a guy like Josh Sweat. And at the end of the day, guys, defense wins championships. So while you can make the argument against Jeremiah Love that he's not going to have an offensive line to run behind, a guy like Jeremiah Love can come in and grow into that position and grow into a good defense that could carry a team. So I think it's I don't want to say a safer pick necessarily, but I do like the prospect of David Bailey, and he got to the quarterback when he came and played ASU this season. So we got to kind of see that firsthand.
Well, and then he also got into a fight with the photographer, if you guys remember that. Also, I believe was that him or was that Reese? Hold on. No, that was David Bailey.
It was David Bailey.
Because then also in 2024, he had another altercation when he was at Stanford where he got thrown out of a game by stepping on the face of a player. So, you know who was also another player like that? Ndamukong Suh. And that guy was an absolute monster. So, hey, that's okay.
He's got that dog in him.
All right. So what I would say, I think 2 out of 3. Jeremiah Love, even though I didn't put him on, let's be honest, I would have, or I should have. That was a general consensus. I would love to get Jeremiah Love at 3. But since we only had 2 out of 3, let's put him off to the side. Let's see if anybody else has another 2 out of 3. And if we do come down to maybe 3 guys, then we can do rock, paper, scissors or figure it out. But Niko, who do you got on your VSP 3?
Boys, I don't think that either one of you are going to have my players, just because I feel like maybe I took a different approach than maybe a normal GM would have taken at this draft. The first one that I have, number 1 overall, and I probably have alluded to this along the way throughout this episode, I fucking want Caleb Downs. I want Caleb Downs. I know that, like, we put so much stock and investment in that defensive side of the ball, but, like, it's the only thing worth a damn. And if it's going to be on the field for 75 of the 79 snaps that the team sees, we might as well have some dogs on it. So we lost Jalen Thompson. He's a great successor to Buda Baker. I think it sets our defense up to continue to be that fly around, no fly zone with a little bit of pop defense that we've become so used to having in Arizona. I think the past couple of years with our secondary being a question mark has been, for me, it sucks because that was always like, death taxes, and the Cardinals have one good corner. It's not necessarily that case anymore. So I would love to add a little reassurance to the secondary. I do get that it's a defensive pick, and I do get that we've drafted a lot of defensive guys specifically in the first round as of late. I know that the offensive needs the firepower. I just don't think and keep this in mind. This isn't a trade scenario, right? So this is a mid-round situation, thinking along the lines of that Dallas trade rumor, which is what I had also come across. So if we can get him at 12, which granted, that's a steal, guys. A lot of people have him going at 5. A lot of people have him going at 11, 12. If we can get him at 12 with that Dallas pick, I'd take it. So I don't know. That's just me.
I already said I like Caleb Downs, and I totally agree with you on the successor portion. Any guy that you get in the first round will be an investment for the next 4 years guaranteed with that 5th-year option. So you got to also consider the long game. Unfortunately, Caleb Downs was not a guy that I had on my short list here.
He was not on my list. I'll keep it short and sweet as well. I think I did a majority of my guys thinking about what the realistic situation would be if a trade down were to happen alongside of what the rumors are. But I mean, you would not be able to go wrong with Caleb Downs, especially at that 12 pick, Niko. I know that there are some questions about Rabbit, even though he has done better, I think, than negatively comparative to some of the other draft picks later on in the draft that Monti Ossenfort has made. But with Jalen Thompson leaving as well, you do need successors. Buda Baker, I think it could possibly be his last year in the Valley as well. I don't hate it. I just didn't have him on my list because I don't know if they're looking through the trades that they're making to address that in the first round. But all right, Chris, back to you. What do you got? Another one. Let's see it.
All right, yeah, we'll go rapid fire here, and it addresses a need, and this is a very Cardinals pick. And now this is my first one where I assume they trade down and have a later first-round pick, and it's the offensive tackle out of Utah, Spencer Fano. I think he can play on both sides, left and right. He has some length issues that I think could limit him a little bit, but he's strong and versatile and able to hold it down. Big frame, 6'6", 311 pounds. Very stereotypical offensive lineman. So I could see that being a good pick. So that was the third guy on my short list.
Yep, another first team AP All-American, won the Outland Trophy, first team All Big 12, team captain, started 12 games at right tackle, has extensive reps in prominent run blocking schemes. He's athletic and adjustable to spring runs and screens in space. I also had Spencer Fano on my list, and I think the biggest reason is because of this trade that I do think is going to happen, where the Cardinals are going to move back, whether it's with Kansas City, whether it's with Dallas. Spencer Fano is going to be there, and it is the glaringest weakness that this Arizona Cardinals team needs, and they need to address. I have such little faith in Elijah Wilkinson to be able to hold up at that right tackle position, even though he did start all 17 games for Atlanta last year. You need to get younger on the line. You need to start rebuilding it, especially if you are planning to address the quarterback position either this year or next year. You need to make sure these guys are upright. So I went with Spencer Fano. He's on my list. What about you, Niko?
Spencer Fano is not the offensive tackle I took. I went with the later pick, thinking that Monroe Freeling out of Georgia was going to be the option. Like I said, 12 and 20 are the picks that I'm projecting the Cardinals to get back. Rough projection. I don't know if that – obviously don't know shit, but if I'm playing at 12 and 20, I think that there's a strong chance that Monroe Freeling is available at 20. I don't, like I said, don't think a lot of the guys that I had on my list are going to be on your guys's, but he was one that I did like what I saw.
I liked Monroe Freeling as well. I kind of had him on the outside just because if you look at the offensive lineman, and you can probably, especially if they trade down, you can guarantee that the Cardinals are going to take one of those guys. I think it's just going to come down to who they like the most. So, Mike, we have 2 guys in the 2 out of 3 category and 1 in Jeremiyah Love. So, what are you thinking here?
Well, let's see. So, I think my whole aspect of what's going to happen with the Arizona Cardinals in trading this number 3 pick is that they're going to move still within the top 10, later half, or early in the teens. And I just don't see any chance if they trade with one of these teams that has 2 first-round picks and it's in the 20s or later 20s, that 20th pick is going to be Ty Simpson. It is not going to be anybody else but Ty Simpson. I don't think at all it will be anybody else. Monti Ossenfort has to get a quarterback, and the guy that they love is Ty Simpson. So if you do move back, I think you're still addressing offensive tackle. So honestly, my other guy that I had on my list was Francis Mauigoa, the offensive tackle for Miami. So I think he's better than Spencer Fano, to be honest with you. He's a 3-year starter. He's a team captain. He has that NFL bloodline. His brother, Francisco, plays for the Jets. He was drafted last year in 2025. He just has that dense build, man. He's broad frame. He's good hip-to-hip positioning. His hands are patient. Sometimes he does lean too much and doesn't bend enough as a drive blocker, but I know there's a lot of people who are scared about the new injury issues that have come about with him. What were they saying? I think, where is it? Did I not have it? He has a herniated disc, and he's kind of trying to work through it right now. And if it doesn't get better, he's going to have surgery, which is going to put him out for about 3 months. So that could take him into the start of training camp. But it doesn't sound like it would be a long-term issue to be worried about. It's a short-term, address it right now. And I know over the years, we have that record of all of our first-round picks being hurt to start their seasons as well. So you don't love it. But the same way that Niko put in an offensive lineman, I had to put another offensive lineman. If the Cardinals are going to trade back, there just is no option for them to not address the offensive line. It is the biggest glaring weakness. So I don't know. Did any of you guys have him on your list? Does that put another wrinkle into it?
I'll be honest, Mike. I do like him, Mauigoa. I just don't think he's going to be there, even past 10. I think he's going top 10. Unfortunately,
I don't even think Fano is going to be there either. To be real, I think that both those guys. I think Fano is going to go 9 to Kansas City. I think wow. I think that both of those offensive linemen are going to be gone, which is scary.
But that's where I think they will be there, or at least one of them will be there, because if you do make that trade with Kansas City, who really seems like they are in the edge rusher camp, they want a rusher so bad. If they trade up with us for 3 and they're sitting at 9, they're not going to take an offensive tackle. So one of those guys should be there. I think that's kind of where I work it in.
So you're thinking they'll go up for Arvell Reese or David Bailey, whiwhichever one of those guys.
Correct. Yeah. Whoever it is, whoever's left at 3, I think they would move up for. I know Dallas was Dallas intrigued with David Bailey, and I know it's been going back and forth. There was it's Bailey for sure going to the Jets, and then just within the last couple of days, it's like, oh no, it's Arvell Reese. So I just think both of those guys are consensus 2 or 3. Whoever's going to happen, whoever's going to make that trade up is going to take one of those guys, which is going to open up at least one of those top 2 tackles to be a possible option to be taken by the Arizona Cardinals, because you just need it. I need it so bad. If you're going to actually build a competent team, you can't run it back the way that they did with the offensive line, to the point where we literally couldn't run a running scheme at all for the last 12 games of the year. I mean, you could say the entire season, but for sure the last 12 games of the year. And you just can't do that again, man. But okay, let's wrangle it in here. Was there anybody else on your guys' top 3 that we didn't name, or are we ready to kind of figure out what we have here?
So there's just one more guy, because I was kind of back and forth between this guy and Spencer Fano. And as we were doing this, I lean more towards Spencer, but maybe a little bit of a homer pick. But I also like the tackle, or the offensive tackle, Max Iheanachor, the ASU guy.
Yeah. I see him though going more in the 20s though.
Yeah, for sure. They would have to trade back.
But my situation is, I think whatever pick they have in the 20s, they're taking Ty. They're not looking at anybody else. So
maybe, but if you trade with Kansas City and you get 9 and 29 in your scenario, he could still be there.
Don't. Yeah, because nobody's going to take him before 30.
But what are you going to take at 9 then?
Who else is taking Ty Simpson in the first round? I don't know.
Miami at 30 is your only threat.
But they just signed Malik Willis, right?
I don't mean shit.
Paid him a lot of money. But yeah, you're right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Niko, did you have anybody else?
The only other person I have is Jordyn Tyson, and I don't think either of you have it on there, and for reasons that make sense. But I'm kind of with you. I think like if we don't walk out of the first round with an offensive tackle of some sort, I am just so afraid that the offensive tackle that we need is not going to be there. I think there's going to be some moves in the upper part of this draft that are really going to fuck us, if you want me to be real. I think that there are some teams. You have Cleveland at 6, guys. Cleveland needs an offensive tackle. You have the Giants at 5. They are liable to do anything. That is a unhinged franchise. New Orleans will take Ruben Bain if Ruben Bain is there. I think that I don't think oh my God, Freeling. He's going to go probably 17, 18, 19. It's a weird situation to be in because I don't want to trade out. But if we don't trade out, we're essentially going to pick someone at 3 that isn't a 3rd overall pick. So like, what do we do?
We're going to find out.
I think like this exercise is like really hard to do, knowing that there's going to be trades, and it's not just going to be the Cardinals making trades either. Like other teams are going to be moving and positioning and trying to fill their needs out as well. So
I think we got to go with the guys that we had 2 out of 3 with, because we only had 2 others. Right?
I agree.
Yep. So in that case, then the official VSP Big 3: running back Jeremiyah Love, edge David Bailey, and offensive tackle, offensive lineman Spencer Fano.
We'll take it.
All right. Take that for data.
Oh,
hopefully
man,
we get one of those guys.
Dude, I am expecting fireworks on Thursday. I still have no idea what the Arizona Cardinals are going to do. I hope that they take Jeremiyah Love. I think that would just bring all the juice that we have lost. But is that what they're doing in team building? If it was Michael Bidwell who was pushing the Jeremiyah Love narrative, does that take precedence over anything else that this team is doing in Monti Ossenfort's vision and Mike LaFleur's as well? We will find out, but I think it's just going to be, it could be a shit show, and we could be set up for super failure. But I hope not. I hope not.
Yeah, I think for me, I might have to not tap into anything sports related tomorrow. I think I might just need to take a day off of listening to sports and just wait and see how Thursday plays out. Because like hearing all the national media, the local media, just all the talk about the Cardinals and this coming, it just really riled me up. And it was cathartic to get on here and kind of vent a little bit with you. Have our fellow doomer Niko join us, and or I guess my fellow doomer Mike. You seem to be more optimistic than the rest of us here, but someone's got to be, right? Someone's got to be. Niko, thanks for coming on, man. Do you have any last thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I mean, Mike, I know you said you're expecting fireworks. I'm expecting fire. So, it's a big dumpster and a fire all in one. Look, tomorrow's going to be interesting, guys. I don't know if we've had a draft like this in a really long time, where it's like, sure, we've had drafts where guys are undisputed number one, but everything after that being such a question mark is really, really interesting. And I think Mike's right. I think it is going to be fireworks for a lot of franchises. I think war rooms are going to be crazy. Trades are going to be flying off the hook. Guys are going to try to move up to get who they think, because this isn't a cut and dry, like we're so used to like 1 through 10 pretty much being just, solidified almost in gold minus 1 or 2 variable situations. So it should be a good draft. I'll be honest with you. Like, I really was not excited for the draft this year at all. Prospects didn't seem great. Cardinals don't seem great. After sitting down and talking with you guys tonight, like, I do think it's going to be a wild ride of a draft on Thursday, and it shall be interesting. I don't know if we're going to come out winners, but I know that we'll come out of it. That's it.
Yeah. One way, shape, or form. We'll get through the weekend. We'll see what this team looks like on Monday. Mike, always a pleasure. What you got?
Yeah. I don't feel like I was as doomer as you guys today, but I'm worried. I'm always worried about this team, and especially where we thought they were going to be last year to where they ended up to now what they've done in free agency. There's just more question marks than anything for this franchise. But what's new? We've lived this for a very long time. We're going to still enjoy the ride. And it's funny. Yeah, maybe the fireworks are going to start the fire, Niko. So hopefully we're the one that gets the bang off first and at least gets something that we're excited about. But excited to watch the draft on Thursday. Excited for what's coming up. We're going to break it down next week for sure. And we got Heat Check podcast coming out this Thursday as well, where we talked a little bit more draft. VSP Tallman wasn't here, so he kind of gave his thoughts. So make sure you guys tap into that. But Chris, always a pleasure. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, gentlemen, one last time. The speculation, all the anticipation, it's all building up. And in less than a day and a half, we'll have some answers. And I am excited. As doomer as I am, as pessimistic as I am, there's still a part of me that's excited. I'm going to tune in. And oh my God, I hope that the Cardinals give us something to be excited about. And last thing I'll say is, I don't mind us getting Ty Simpson. I would prefer it be on Friday and not on Thursday. But we'll see what happens. And I can't wait to get on here and chop it up with you guys next time. Anybody that's still watching with us live, thank you so much. You're a real one. If you're listening back and you've made it this far, you're also a real one, and we love you. Make sure you share this show with a friend so we can maximize our reach and bring you more beautiful Arizona sports content, everything you want to see. Drop us a comment. Let us know if you like this video and what else you might like to see. And lastly, make sure you are following us here on YouTube and at AZ_VSP on Instagram, X, TikTok, so much more. All those links are in the description below. For Michael Benjamin and Neeks, I'm Chris Patrick, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Things up here, and for one last time, this is Al McCoy saying thanks for being there, thanks for being with us tonight, and from the Footprint Center here in downtown Phoenix, we'll just say so long for now.